All right, guys, so welcome to another episode of the highly acclaimed Imperfectly Perfect podcast. Today, we've got co-host Rachael Newsham back on the show. How are you going, Rachael?
Oh, it's so good to be back.
Good. Well, today, we've got a very special guest all the way from France, although he isn't French. So let me do the bio as I always do. Psalm Wooching is an American rugby union player who played for the United States men's national team. He also played for the San Diego Legion in the Major League Rugby and previously played for the US Selects and Seattle Saracens. Prior to his rugby career, he played college football for the University of Washington Huskies, playing as a fullback and linebacker. Despite significant interest from NFL teams, he announced that he would be pursuing a career in professional rugby and not football ahead of the 2017 NFL draft, and made his debut for the United States men's national rugby team in 2018 in the Americas Rugby Championship. He currently resides in France, playing for the Rouen Normandie Rugby Club. Firstly, welcome to the show, Sam. How are you going?
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. I know it's been a long time coming, but finally made the times work. So I'm excited to be on.
I know. Thank you for that. Well, first of all, I want to take the opportunity to thank you for getting straight behind the efforts of the IPC. I know the initial connection was through the legend that is Paddy Ryan, who joined you guys in San Diego. But yeah, the first time I reached out to you, you must be like, who's this guy, this Australian guy just reaching out? But you got straight on board and your support. So I thank you for that, mate.
Yeah, no worries.
So, as you know, the Imperfectly Perfect campaign is all about touching base on those hard conversations that so many still brush over and speak about the subject of mental health on a surface level. We want to delve past that and hear about people's experiences, cover those hard subjects. So first, we like to unpack people's stories with getting to know the person behind the profession, public persona, people think they know, hear about how it all started for you, should I say. So in terms of your career in rugby, the football, how did it all start for you?
Yeah, so, just like any sportsman, it took a lot of hard work, growing up, sacrificing, hanging out with friends and doing whatnot, stuff like that. And especially being from Hawaii, it's a little bit harder to get exposed to, sports on the mainland, which we say in the United States, the mainland United States is harder to get exposed here in Hawaii. So you have to just do that extra little bit, to kind of be seen. And yeah, that's what I did growing up. I worked hard a lot, spent time with family, and, finally got the chance to go over and play football at a high university, the top division, University of Washington. It was good. It was 5 years there. I did a red shirt, which means the first year you don't play in any games. You learn the system. You hit the weight room. You do stuff that you need to do to make you successful in the next 4 years. So I played 4 years after that. I had some great years, great memories, great time at the University of Washington. Made some awesome friends. And that last year was my most dominant year. It was, kind of like a Cinderella year. We did, not so good the year before, and ended up making it to the championship, winning the Pac-12 championship and going on to further things. And yeah, at the end of that, I felt like, I've given everything to football. Football's given me everything, and it was time to start a new journey. And I always played rugby. I always grew up playing rugby in the islands, and my dad's from Samoa, so I'm half Samoan, and that's just a religion in the islands, like you say. And I wanted to go on that path, and boom, it led me all the way here. I have some amazing stories and memories and experiences, and that's what I really wanted to keep with me in the long run. Everyone says, "Oh, I could have made a whole bunch of money," but it's the memories and all that, and the friendships and all that I was taught that are gonna stay with you for your lifetime and in the future. So that's what I went for, and never look back.
Got it.
little quick brief of me in the sports world.
I'm sure what you've just said, first of all, nice to meet you. I'm sure what you've just said for the listeners, it all sounds like roses, and you've probably just taken like 60 seconds to describe years of your life. Literally, it won't even do it justice. So I want to take you back to around about 2018. and I'm going to quote you. So correct me if I get this wrong. Apparently, you once said my story is kind of like a mixed plate. All the stuff, the accolades, the stats, the wins. That's just the race, and that's just so powerful because we all like food, right? So we can all relate.
Yeah.
We can all relate to the mixed plate. So what was going on in 2018 for some, for those listeners that would like a refresh? I've been on YouTube. I've just watched the game, 2018. It's the USA versus Uruguay. USA's up about 40 points. Uruguay's kind of not really got much possession. Boom, they step in half. They start to get a bit more possession there in the game. And somebody comes off the bench, don't they? 60 seconds, 60 minute. Boom, here you go. He's ready. It's his third cap. It's like the pressure's on, Uruguay looking like the pressure on. This is big game time. This is like so you're at the top of the league. This is the Americas Rugby Championship, right up at the top. But Uruguay could take this. There's a lot of pressure on you. Third cap, big. You're playing for the country, right? It's big.
Yeah.
You get a throw-ins from the sideline, like 2 or 3 attempts, trying to muscle the ball across the line. Boom, you get it. Must have felt amazing, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was my first international try. I felt it was incredible. It kind of blacked out a little bit, like there's so much emotion, so much thing. I'm just like, dang, I can't believe I scored that. And that was an amazing feeling. Down in Uruguay, hostile environment, it's always a good game against Uruguay. They're super hard competitors, hard hitters, and so it felt amazing to get that. And that kind of, we scored, I think, a few after that, but that kind of, put the sword to them for the momentum wise. So yeah, it felt great.
Yeah, sealed the deal. They were getting feisty. They were fighting with each other.
Exactly.
I mean, good on them. They don't really want to fight with you guys. That'll be a fight they don't want to fight. But I mean, the point that I'm making here is this was the win that secured the Americas Rugby Championship. This is a big, big deal. So as a player, as an athlete, as a human being, it's a highlight moment of your life. The same time, I do believe you had some potential Italian contract that was up in the air. There was a lot going for you. Your whole body, your physicality was taking off, but your heart was calling you home. Your heart was calling you home, back to the big island. And that's the bit that I want to zoom in on. I want to go, okay, so how, from the outside looking in, as civvies, we sort of watch these athletes. They're just like, you're superhuman to us. It's almost like you're unstoppable. Whilst your career's going crazy, why was your heart calling you home?
Yeah, I mean, that's a little, it's tough for me that I just had some stuff in my personal life that, didn't go as I planned, and I was gone from back home, and I felt like I lost myself a little bit, who I was, and I needed to go back home and find myself, and I think, I mean, just the whole whirlwind of not going to the NFL and then choosing rugby, and I felt like I had the perfect life. Everything was going perfect, and I never really had any let's say roadblocks in my story. And then I've always heard like of people dealing with stuff, and then I was like, nah, that's not me. I don't, I pushed through everything. I've been always a strong mind, and I could always kind of work through things, like physically work through anything that emotionally, and I couldn't this time. I just I mean, it's hard to explain, but I was engaged and all that, and then things like didn't end up the way I expected, and kind of was just left right after the tour. I came home, and it was just kind of, I had to pack my stuff, and I left, went back home, and there was like 8 months or almost close to a year I was back home, just kind of building myself back up, and I think throughout the years of years and years of sweeping things under the rug and all that, and yeah, it was just really tough for me. And yeah, I was just absolutely at the lowest of the low, broken down, you know, and yeah, so that's kind of why I went home to, home is where, I can regroup, regather, and just, you know, build my foundation back up. And yeah, so that was my part.
Well, that going from there, because your heritage, your name, I find out actually means to restore. So you said you were in search of restoration, spiritual and athletically. Now, I did find out, this is how good we are at research, mate. You give a lot of respect and love for Tiger Hill and Blake Castile, who you mentioned,
Yeah.
like got you back into kind of your shape mentally and physically. How important would it say, or how important was it for you to have that support network and kind of a mentor? And if you could give any kind of, from a personal perspective, to at least any guys in the profession or men in general or anyone, how important would you say it is to have that kind of mentor that actually helped you?
Yeah, I think I've always been the strong guy, the guy who nothing, I don't talk about things, I don't whatever. And I just found out harshly that you can't keep those things inside, my head and your head just, starts going into a hole of, no return, just a constant overthinking and stuff like that. And that's what I was dealing with a lot. And just to have those guys and at the point I wasn't searching, I wasn't searching for that. I didn't know that's what I needed. I didn't know, you know, and those guys actually, Blake and Tiger, they're part of Youth with a Mission. It's a Christian university there that does a lot of just people coming over there and just to find themselves and also just to see what path they want to choose and whatever. And they're in charge of a CrossFit called Respect the Corners. It's a CrossFit section of that. And me being an athlete, and I went back home. I couldn't train. I couldn't eat. I was just in a terrible state. And then I got introduced to those two, and they got me back in the sport. They got me talking. They got me kind of just building myself back up. Just working in the plantation, like help building the CrossFit gym, just stuff that maybe I miss out a little bit while I was playing sport. Just back home and just so being able to talk to those guys, having those guys mentor me, pray for me, and just be alongside, that really helped me, to just figure out who I really was. And so I owe those guys, my career, everything that I've accomplished since then, and been able to come back from that stuff. And just blessed to know those guys.
It's so powerful, isn't it? When life physically throws an athlete something, you just like, yep, sweet, I got it. I'll squat it, I'll bench it, I'll run it, I'll overcome it. And that's an athlete's mindset. But mentally, when you get hit with something, it is a team sport. Life is a team sport. And you've just given credit to your teammates who help get you across the line. And we all need someone to get us across the line. Now, as an athlete, for people looking up to you, this is really powerful stuff for the listeners to go, wow. So somebody with so much going for them, when life hits you at another angle, having to choose between your career and your mental health, it's massive, especially with no sort of prior understanding. No one talks about it. You never spoke about it. And here you are leading on the front foot as an athlete going, hey guys, we need to talk about this stuff. Like this is how you get the best out of yourself. I have so much respect for people that do this, because it really does help us as a community break that stigma. The question I have that I think is really topical right now, given we're in the Olympics and athletes are really choosing their mental health over their career. You've been there, done that, and you're now building you've gone into the French. I mean, this is big time rugby over there. It's a great move. How does an athlete choose between their mental health and the career? Like, is it I assume it's a hard conversation, you have with yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I battle with that, every day, constantly. And also, like, just for the listeners and everyone out there, it's not like I'm back to normal. I'm all that good, like I still deal with that stuff every day, and I'm fighting that stuff every day. And some days have good days, some days have bad days, but just being able to speak up and talk to people and stuff like that. I've learned kind of like not like a routine of how I can bring myself back to, kind of level. So also, it's not all roses, there's still a battle constantly. And but no, yeah, I think in terms of choosing, your career and your mental health, I think athletes throughout the years develops like a great mental strength, whether that's overcoming injuries, having a bad coach, or, having teammates where you have to kind of, figure out your relationship with them and stuff like that. So I think when it comes down to mental health in sport, the athlete is always going to be like, I'm gonna try to push through it. I'm gonna try to push through it. I'm gonna try to push through it. And as we've seen, and that's not always the best option. And I think for athletes at any stage, and me speaking to the high level athlete, it's like what's going on in their mind is they've made it this far. They've pushed themselves, and they finally accomplished or achieved or got to the realm that they want to be in, and then they get hit with this kind of stuff, like mental health and all that. And that's tough. But for me, it's sports not going to be there your whole life. Your mental, your being, your happiness, whatever that may be for you, that's going to be there for the rest of your life. And I think just making sure you as a person are totally fine, you making sure you're on the right path, and if that's taking yourself out of sports, if that's taking a break, if that's completely leaving, if that's the best for you, I think that is the best option for you. And I think your family and stuff like that will support that, once they hear from you and whatnot. But yeah, I think that's, for me, that's what I think.
I love that. And I think why so much respect for you, because one thing that you said there, which can touch everybody, is that this is an ongoing process. It's not that everyone on the IPC that's come forward is going, yes, I'm cured, I'm past it. It's constant evolution. We're constantly always learning. So thank you for sharing that, because it's such a powerful and inspirational story. Yeah. One question, Sam, I ask every single person that comes on this, throughout all your experiences, grounding, spirituality, faith, everything, when you remove everything, when there's just Sam, what does being imperfectly perfect mean to you?
I think, accepting who you are as a person. I think like imperfectly perfect means, you don't have to be perfect. That's just kind of like, they always say, the cliche thing is, it's okay not to be okay. Like that's that phrase. And I think, I think you have to put yourself and others in a category of like, no one's perfect. Like no matter how, even your biggest fan or your biggest person you look up to, your blah, 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 the guy who makes the most money in the world, like no one's perfect. They're all dealing with something. And you have to just embrace that, if you're down and low, you're happy and high, like you just got to embrace that. Every day is a new day. Every day is the day to take advantage. And whether that's a low day, whether that's a high day, just know you can get through it, and you don't have to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. So yeah, I don't know if that answered the question, but
yeah. That question is always as a tongue twister. Everyone's like, well, we are perfect, we have imperfections. So I just ask you, because everyone has a different perspective on it, but that's perfect, mate.
Yeah, when he asked me that question, I remember going,
yeah.
It means not being perfect.
Yeah. I think it's like you're just perfectly perfect the way you are, whether that's dealing with stuff or not, like Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because I will say, just before Rachel moves on there, it's like every time that I see your story, most of the time now, and you lead by faith and you put some scriptures in there, which I absolutely love and I'm learning, because the more scriptures that I'm starting to learn and press into my faith, that word shoots out so much. I don't know if you know, Rachel, but imperfections, God talks about we're all perfect in our imperfections a lot throughout that. So I'm just like, now I know this is being led, and like the big man upstairs, as I call him, he leads it, because we are all imperfect. But over to you, Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, that was what drew me here. It was like, in my industry, it's all about, we're supposed to be specimens, we're supposed to be idolized, we're supposed to be untouchable. And the truth of the matter is we're not. That's just the thing that makes us so special is our uniqueness. You're looking for the unique athlete, you're looking for the fastest guy on the field, you're looking for the guy that can read the game. Talking about reading games, you can see a tackle coming. Chances are you're going to see the tackle. I mean, you don't see every tackle. That's what they do. You love to show the replays of the tackles you don't see coming. Rugby is such a physical game. You take the hits, and as athletes, you take hits that most humans would take them out for 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So you can take all the physical hits, but the mental hits, these are the ones that really take us out, right? These are the ones we don't see coming.
Yeah.
Is it the fact that we don't see it coming that is that what makes it harder? Because one day you feel great, one day you're on fire, the next day, boom, it's just the clouds have closed in. How do you, I think you did talk a little bit about, like, you've got a process that you work through to help remind you of how to get at that. Is there some hot tip you could share for somebody who's listening to this going, yeah, like, I don't know what tool would I use on a down day? Like, how do I get myself to feel a little bit better?
Yeah. So, well, for me, again, looking back, like, I never dealt with this kind of stuff before. Like, a little bit of things, but I could push through it. And then it all hit me like with an instant, like, boom. And I didn't know what was going on. I was like I went back home and I seen like all kinds of doctors, like, just because I was like, there's something wrong. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I wake up in the night, like, feel like I'm having a heart attack, like, constantly, all kinds of stuff like that. And I was like, there's something wrong with my body. And I didn't, all the doctors said, oh, you should see maybe a psychologist, talk to people, the mentor. And I was like, nah, I never deal with that kind of stuff. Like, and then finally, when I was like, all right, there's nothing else, there's nothing else, like, what's going on? And that's when I found Tiger. And no, but speaking about the process and to people, like, how I found my process, how to go is, I always think about what makes you happy when you're a kid, when you're young, when you're back home, like, what filled up your cup back home. And, for me, my culture, music is a big thing for me. Grew up, my sister's a professional singer, music is just in the Polynesian culture and in our blood, and as well as the ocean. So, those are a lot of things that I fall back on in terms of routine for me when I'm feeling bad. It's like, I listen to worship music. I listen to, podcasts. I listen to music. I play music. I play the guitar, and I try to get in the ocean. I try to just get my body connected back to my roots, whether that's, whatever your culture is, your family, stuff like that, what you used to do. And those are the things that I feel like really, help me, bring me back. And that's what I constantly do today, whether that's playing music, listening to music, working out, stuff to get your mind kind of not off the topic, but, centered again. Like, okay, I have a task, let's do the task. Like, I have a workout, let's do the workout. I feel a little bit better. Okay, cool. I have the dishes, I'm going to do the dishes. I'll make it spotless. I'm going to clean the room. I'm going to do that, and kind of just keep my mind focused on just that. And I feel like once I do that, and I'm focused on a goal, and I accomplish the goal, I feel a little bit better. And the more of those that I can stack up each day, I feel a little bit more better and more better. And for me, I always think of it like as little wins. I want to get as much little wins as I can in the day, you know, whether that's waking up on the alarm clock right then there, boom, that's a little win for you. Making the bed, little win, you know, and just stuff like that. And I feel like those are the things that help me, you know, pull me back to, you know, happy Psalm or whatever.
I
So, yeah.
love that. It's so relatable. You know, for the big win, you got to get the little wins.
Yeah.
You know, do things that make you feel good. Return to things that make you feel good. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Glenn. You are the man at bringing the best people to talk and share their stories. It's been an absolute privilege and an honor. I know you're super busy. I know you've got to go and like do sprints and Broncos and stuff.
That's not for me.
And
that's a loss for me. Not a little win, that's a loss.
Is now a good time just to quickly say, before I ask you one last question, who would you put your money on then on October the 23rd in DC when the Eagles play the All Blacks?
I put it on rugby. Rugby wins the day.
Oh yes! Good answer. Right answer. Final words for anyone that's listening that has the attitude of, you know, sometimes you just got to toughen up. You just got to, you know, the old ways, the ways we used to feel about life. It's like stiff upper lip. That's where I grew up in the UK. It's just, you know, keep calm, carry on, blah, blah, blah. Any last words for people that are listening that could take anything away from you?
Yeah, I think that if you're dealing with something, it's okay. You know, like if you're dealing with something, just get in your head, know that there are more people dealing with that. And especially the people you look up to. I know for sure that they've probably dealt with stuff like that before. And just know that there are athletes and there are, you know, people in different realms that are dealing with that as well, you know, mental health, especially. And, you know, athletes are people as well. We're not just, you know, the image out there, the social media graphic, you know, we're people, and that stuff happens to everyone. And yeah, mental health isn't you know, picking and choosing who it wants to affect. It can affect anyone. And yeah, so stick with it, find some help, and keep moving forward.
Well, I just want to say, on behalf of me, Rachael, the campaign, you're at the forefront of your career. You're doing incredible things, but you single-handedly are at the forefront as a sportsman, professional athlete, speaking openly about mental health. I think it's amazing, mate. So thank you. Thank you for everything that you do for it all. And thank you for getting on board with the Imperfectly Perfect campaign. You know, I can't thank you enough. Where can people find out more information about you, your socials?
Yeah, just Psalm Wooching, any social media, reach out if you need. And yeah, but watch out, because I might reach out too then. So yeah. You need help, I need help too. We help each other.
Yeah, that's the way. Life's a team game.
Best way. Well, guys, I'm going to put all the links up where you can find Psalm. So after this, make sure you hit it. We will notify you when the episode is airing. But until then, guys, keep having the hard conversations, because it's the hard conversations that save lives. Thank you again, Psalm.
Yep.